Hey BookTube, it's Nick. I'm here to do a book haul, which I've never done on this channel, and I don't really buy books that often anymore. It definitely used to be a huge problem, but I, one, deal with change and stress by buying books. Two, I had a birthday, so I, A, got books, and two, got money. Three, I have no self-control. Are we surprised? Anyway, let's get into it. The first book I actually already own and have read, but I wanted the new pretty paperback that came out, and that is The Beauty That Remains by Ashley Woodfolk. I've talked about this book a lot. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and it's really underrated because I feel like not a lot of people talk about this book, but it's really good and you should read it. This book is about three teens who are all dealing with grief in their own way, and music is kind of the thing that connects them. They all know each other. This band that doesn't really exist anymore kind of brought them all together, and it's just really good. It's a discovery of how to deal with grief from three different angles, and it's just really good. Like, you should read it. The next book that I bought, I technically started, but I'm really just not in the space for fantasy right now, so I'm putting it on hold and I'll pick it up at a later date, and that is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I definitely bought this because of Reagan from Brewer's Project. She will not stop talking about it, and it sounds so different and unique, and I don't really know exactly how to describe this book, but basically the world keeps destroying itself over and over again. Basically the apocalypse just keeps happening and some people can kind of control it, so I'm really excited to read this eventually. After that, I have another book that I have already read but I did not own until recently, and that is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X. Arpan. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and the first time I read it, I got it from the library, and I really wanted a copy of my own to have, so I finally got that, and I'm very excited about it. This book also deals with grief, as the main character has just lost her mother due to depression and travels to Taiwan. Yes, she travels to Taiwan to meet her maternal grandparents for the first time and kind of discover her mom's childhood, because she really didn't know anything about her mom's life before she came to the States. After that, I also have another book which I've read and loved, and this is a recent read for me. I wanted to own my own copy, and that is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I talked about it in a vlog and also my wrap-up. I will put the links for both of those in the description, but this is a modern Beauty and the Beast retelling that takes place half in present-day Washington, D.C. and half in Emberfall, which is like the fantasy land, and it's really good. The main character, Harper, has cerebral palsy. It's definitely a fresh and unique take on the Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. The next book is one that I'm actually currently reading and very much enjoying, and that is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I'm actually buddy reading this right now with Diana. I'll link her Twitter down below. And so far, it's really, really good. I'm actually kind of almost done with it, but this follows Olive, who has a severe unlucky streak in her life. She is the twin sister of Ami, who is the most lucky person she knows. Ami is getting married and won her entire wedding, honeymoon, reception, everything through various sweepstakes, and the buffet serves shellfish, which Olive is allergic to, so therefore she avoids it. The only other person who does not eat at the buffet is Ethan, who just has an aversion to buffets, which I get, and they nearly avoid disaster when everyone gets sick. They are both forced to take the honeymoon pretending to be Ami and Ethan's brother Dane, who is the groom, and it's just a really great enemies to lovers, and I'm really excited to see how this ends. Next up, I have one of my most anticipated reads of the year, which I have not started yet because it is fantasy and I want to make sure I'm in the right mood for that, but that is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I read her first book earlier this year and it became one of my new favorites, so I am very, very excited to read this. I honestly don't know a ton about it, but it deals with like a librarian who is just an overall badass, and there's magic, and the library is kind of a really dangerous place. That's what I've gathered so far. I don't really need to know anything else. I just already anticipate loving this. The next book I am also currently reading, and that is Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. This was previously titled Royals, and the old cover was absolutely atrocious, so thankfully they redid it because this one is so cute, and I definitely bought it because of the cover, and it looks so good on my contemporary shelf. I'm unsure of how I feel about it so far, honestly. It follows our main girl, Daisy, and her sister is engaged to the Prince of Scotland, and so she has to go to Scotland and spend the summer with her sister because there was this interview that her ex-boyfriend put out and it just made her look really bad, so they're trying to fix it. Meanwhile, just chaos ensues. The plot literally just picked up over halfway through. Yeah, we'll see how it ends, but it's still really cute though. That's what matters. Next up, I have two books by the same author. One of them is one of my favorite books of all time, so I'm so glad to finally own a physical copy of it. The other one I have not read yet, but I already anticipate absolutely adoring it, and that is The Poet X and With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Poet X follows Xiomara, and it's just kind of a journey of her life and how she uses poetry as an escape from her home life. She doesn't have a very good relationship with her mother, and it's just so good and powerful. It's written in verse, and I definitely suggest the audiobook. I've actually listened to it twice now, as well as read it physically, and I really think that everybody should read this book because it just hits so hard, and you really can relate to Xiomara no matter like what similarities you may or may not have. I don't really have hardly any with her, but I still related to her so much because she's just a well-developed, solid character. Now, With the Fire on High, like I said, I haven't read it yet, but it follows our main girl, oh my gosh, what is her name? Imani, and she's actually a teen mother. She has a 2-year-old, I believe, and I'm really excited to read this because I feel like no YA, or next to no YA, really has books dealing with teen moms after the fact when they actually have the baby and if they keep it. So I'm really excited to read this. It has cooking in it as well, and I'm just really expecting a good time. Next up is another book that I've already read, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Everybody is talking about this book right now, and for good reason, because it is phenomenal. We follow Alex and Henry. Alex is the son of the President of the United States, and Henry is the Prince of Wales. It's an enemies to lovers book that is just so incredibly heartwarming. This was so freaking cute. I actually won this in a giveaway. B, who created the Sailor Moonathon in May, did a random giveaway. 3 people won books from Book Depository up to a certain amount, and then 5 people won the pre-orders for Secrets Are for Flowers, which is the sequel to Beds Are for Flowers, which was the readathon book that we were assigned, which I'm still currently reading, and it's really good. I just need to finish it. But I actually won the pre-order. However, I'd already pre-ordered the book like 2 days prior, so I told B, hey, don't worry about it, like pick someone else because I already pre-ordered it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It should go to somebody else. But B, being the wonderful, amazing human that they are, was like, nah girl, like you won the giveaway fair and square, like pick a book that you want. I almost started crying. So I picked Red, White, and Royal Blue because I'd already read it from NetGalley and it was wonderful, and I really wanted a copy of my own, and I'm just so happy and thankful for this book. And thankful for B for sending it to me. I'll link their channel down below because you should check it out. After that, I took a small trip to the used bookstore and I got Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I have the entire trilogy on my Kindle and I've read it twice now. I love it. This is actually my favorite book, so when I saw that they had the pretty hardcover in really good condition for really, really cheap, I was like, yeah, I need it on my shelf. Who honestly doesn't know what The Hunger Games is about by this point? I'm not even gonna explain it. This one's my favorite, so I'm really excited to own a physical copy. After that, I have a book that is special to me for 2 reasons. One is that I severely enjoyed it, and the other is that it was sent to me by someone who I adore so much. For my birthday, Diana sent me a copy of Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. I'm seriously, I've said it so many times, but I am so thankful for the friends that I've made in this community, not just because they send me stuff. I don't want like you to get to that opinion, but because I've become such genuinely good friends with so many people, and Diana is one of the first people that I became friends with on Twitter before I started my channel, and really has just been such a supportive person and just genuine friend from the very start. And oh my gosh, thank you, girl. I love you. Not just because you send me stuff, I promise. Next up is actually a book that I got from a book trade, and that is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I had this book in hardcover, but Hold Still just like got a cover change that kind of matches this one in style, but it's only out in paperback, and I was like, I need them to match. So thankfully, somebody from Twitter book traded me. So now I have the nice floppy paperback, and I will eventually get Hold Still, and they will match, and I'm so happy. Alright, the only books I have left I got from a used bookstore just the other day, and all of them are older books, and most of them I got for nostalgia reasons. The first 3 books I have talked about on my channel before in my Disney Channel book tag, which I will put up there. I still think that's one of my favorite videos that I've done. It was just so fun. I love tags in general, but this one was especially fun because Emma from Muggle Glamour, I'll put her channel down below, created it as an original tag, and it was just so genuinely fun to do it and to be a part of something that one of my friends created. And that is the Night World series by L.J. Smith. If you don't know, L.J. Smith is also the author who wrote The Vampire Diaries, which I've never read, but I did watch some of the TV show. I've talked about these books before. Like I said, they are 3 bind-ups, but they each have 3 books in them each, so they're pretty large. I'm just gonna hold up the first one because they're heavy. And they follow the Night World, which is like this, you know, secret world in ours. It's urban fantasy, let's just say that. It has vampires, werewolves, witches, all that good stuff. I really didn't know until very, very recently. I read these back in middle school, and I just assumed that they came out around that time. No. These came out the year that I was born. This book was published in 1996, and I was shook because I genuinely thought that they were released in like 2007, 2008 when I was reading them. No. I actually read the second bind-up first. All the stories are connected. You don't have to read them in order. It's probably a good idea to start with the first one, but I started with this one because that was the one that my friend recommended, and I actually never finished the third bind-up. I'm actually going to do a reread of this series very, very soon, so I'm very excited to see what I think many, many, many years later, because I read these books when I was, 12? I'm 23. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited. I still think that I'm going to love them, so. On a similar note, I found another book by L.J. Smith that I had no idea existed, and that is The Forbidden Game. This is also a bind-up. It has 3 books in it, and apparently this was actually released in 1994 before the Night World series. I don't really know what it's about. I don't know if it's the same world or... yeah, I just don't really know anything about this, so I'm really excited to see what this entails, if it's the same world, if it's similar, I don't know. Staying on the theme of vampires, I got a lot of trashy vampire novels, let's just say that. I got The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. I only really knew what this book was because I saw Heather from Aphrodite Reads mention it in one of her videos. I think she read it for like the book club that she's in, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I don't really know what this is about except that it has vampires in it. I don't know. I'm gonna read it, hopefully. So yeah, vampires. The next book that I have is again staying on theme, and that is Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. I actually have never read this book. I was interested, but I think I might have missed my window because I don't know if I would enjoy it for the first time as an adult, since I don't have that nostalgia factor. So originally I had no intentions of picking up the series, but I mean, I was already getting like a bunch of other trashy vampire novels while I was at the used bookstore, so I was like, you know what? Let me just get this. Also, a lot of people are like talking about how this cover is like really hard to find now because like the new ones are just really, really boring and basic. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick it up. We'll see. I don't know what I'm gonna think of this. I don't really know what it's about except that, you know, there's an academy and it has vampires in it. That's all I know. So I'm excited to see what I think about this, reading it for the first time as a 23-year-old. Who knows? After that, I do have Elsewhere. Crap, who's this by? Gabrielle Zevin, I believe is how you pronounce it. I might be completely wrong. I've never read this book, but I remember vividly in middle school, a bunch of people around me were reading this book, and my friend says it still holds up, still a solid read. I think it deals with grief, but in like a really different way. I don't know if this is technically fantasy or if it's supposed to be magical realism. I genuinely don't really know what it's about other than my friend's been trying to get me to read it for a long time. Okay, on to the last book. Apparently this is a movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't read the book. That is Room by Emma Donoghue, right? And that's actually fitting because I pretty much only bought this because Emma from Muggle Glamour was talking about this book and saying how much she liked it, and why not? I'll pick it up. From what I can gather and from what I remember, it's about this 5-year-old boy and his mom, and he's grown up in this room. I don't think he's ever been out of the room. Okay, apparently the mother has been in this room since she was like 19, and I'm really excited to see like how the story unfolds because it is told from the perspective of the 5-year-old boy. So I think it'll be really, really interesting, and hopefully I'll get to it soon. All right, so that is all 21 books that I have purchased within the last couple of months. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.